Hi, everyone, and welcome to Everything Under the Moon. I am your host tonight. My name is Becky McKitty-Gideson, and with me is my co-host, Kyrra. How are you doing tonight, Kyrra?
I'm doing good. How about you, Becky?
I am hanging in there. I know it's a crazy week for many people because this is Thanksgiving week, and this is the week we choose to come back on.
I know. And it's kind of an interesting choice on our end.
Yeah, I know, but there's reasons for everything. But we're here, we're back. We took, over a month off, I think it's been.
Mhm.
Because I know we didn't do anything in October, and I can't remember when it was in September that our last show was. But we took time off because we were expecting and hoping for a very busy season that did not happen, unfortunately. But I did, I was able to do some other podcasts, and we did, get to do some things. Like we did do the Night of the Museum,
Mhm.
which is our yearly function that we do with the Historical Society out here in Tucson. And that was a lot of fun. I know you decided to do history tours. You want to tell everyone exactly what it was that you did for that?
Yeah, so it was actually something I've thought about wanting to do something for the longest time because to give context to everybody, I've worked around kids. I used to teach kindergarten. I work in daycares now as a consultant. So I'm around little kids a lot. And I always thought about what's a great way to kind of talk to kids about paranormal stuff while also, being appropriate for their age and getting, they have short attention spans and everything. Um, so yeah,
That's
so
true.
we kind of did like some tours where we talked about some history and also some ghost stuff through like parts of the museum. And so we had kids, and they're ranging from like 3 to 11. The handful of kids who went with me, and their parents. So put some history, fun facts about Tucson and fun facts about like tombstones. Their little tombstone section. Um, and stuff like that. And then also kind of talked about some ghost stories in that way. And I had a lot of fun with it. And I think everyone who went with me seemed to really like it and they thought it was just really neat. So I was really glad
Yeah.
we were able to do that this year.
Yeah, it was kind of like an iffy thing on, if it would work out or not, because the very first year we tried doing it, I was supposed to do like a ghost tour. And what was supposed to happen was there's supposed to be like the way Tamara wanted to do it, and she always does all these things, is she wanted it set up to where there's actual storylines. And so I would
Mhm.
take the kids and we would tell the stories and they would trick or treat along the way. Yeah, kids were not interested in,
Mhm.
those storylines. They just wanted to do the trick or treating type thing. So we learned that didn't work. But the way she set it up to where, you got to do these little tours and they could come to you after the fact that they got to go, trick or treating and stuff like that, that definitely worked a lot better. And
No,
you did
definitely.
have a couple groups that went through. So,
Yeah. So I had two groups. I had one, it was like small, my first one with like a kid and her mom. And then the other one was like, I think two families and stuff went through. So that was really neat.
yeah, so that definitely worked out a lot better than the very first year that we tried to do it. And after the first year, it was just kind of like I gave up. I think
Hmm.
the second year I ended up just sitting at my booth and talking to people who came up to me about paranormal, and we had videos going on my laptop. And then last year, I know I ended up helping because she was short on actors, so I ended up helping in like the mine. And this year I got to just kind of keep track of candy and do whatever was needed of me. So that
Yeah.
was kind of nice not to be stuck in one area. But I love doing that event. And, that Tamara I've worked with for, gosh, a long time because she used to work at Fox Theater.
Hmm.
So she would do the Halloween events at Fox Theater. And she was the reason we got into Fox Theater, the team. And so we would always do her events. And then when she switched over to the History Museum, we went with her, to do the events there. Because Fox Theater doesn't do those huge Halloween events because of the fact that she's not there. And she's the one that goes way out. You saw how she decorates. That's all
Yeah.
her.
Yeah.
I swear she's so talented. It's like she does all the decoration, she does all the planning. Um, she does so much advertising for it. And then not only does she do all that stuff, but she actually does a market here in Tucson now. And, she also has her own company. Oh gosh, the Cannibal? I can't.
I don't know the name of it.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm probably messing that up, but where she actually like does horror stuff and she'll like draw horror figures on like suitcases and stuff, and she does this all by hand.
Oh wow, that is I
Like,
can't I commend anyone with artistic talent because I have none. So
yeah,
I'm
I
like,
can't draw a straight line.
yeah.
I'm like, nope, I can't do it. It's just, yeah, I am not talented like that at all. But every event she does, she always pulls it off. She's so great at it. So I'm so thankful that she continues to work with us. And that was our main thing for the month of October was that event.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I had a couple tours. Didn't really, I think I had one ghost hunt, which shocked me. One
Yeah.
ghost hunt. And it was only for like 3 people. And the tours that were given, I think I had 3 or 4 tours. And I think the most was like 4 or 5 people.
Yeah, that's just so opposite of what you would expect, and I know previous Halloweens have been
Yeah.
and October has been.
Usually what it is, and this is why I'm like, I'm taking October off because I usually don't have time to breathe. Usually my tours are jam packed full. We have to run them, and every single one almost gets packed. Usually I have a ghost hunt every single weekend. It's usually nonstop, but unfortunately this year was so bad. And it made us have to have a team meeting because I was like, what do I do? How do we continue? But then, the more I talk to everyone, it's not just me. It's like all companies, all small companies
Mhm.
are going through this. We had our ghost host went to get her haircut, and she's a local stylist, and she's majorly hurt. And I've heard, local restaurants are hurting, local shops are hurting. It's not just the tours, it's
Mhm.
everything. And museums, even, the museum
Yeah.
we visited on Saturday, they said that their attendance has been way down.
Yeah.
So it's really sad. And, I just want to put this out here, definitely support local. They're all suffering so bad right now. And I know the economy hasn't been the greatest, especially with the government shutdown. I know a lot of people were without money and, you know, struggling. But when you go out and you decide to splurge, do it at a local place. It's like really try to do that. We're all suffering really bad. And I'm hoping, I debated on shutting down, as you know, but I'm like, I'm going to see what next year holds. Let's hope
Yeah.
that turn around and that I can make up for all the money I lost. Because usually October is the month that I can pay for everything.
Yeah.
I don't have to rely on Will, my husband. It's like usually the month of October, I feel good because I get to support everyone that month. Yeah, I barely made mortgage last month. I don't think, well,
Yeah.
actually, in all honesty, I didn't, so if it wasn't for my husband, I would be quitting because I would have to be, finding something else that's, paying the bills. But luckily, I don't have to worry about that with him, but it's so bad. And I feel for people who are relying on those incomes that are struggling.
Yeah.
I feel for them. It's so horrible. So
I
every
think
support local.
yeah, I was gonna say it's like when restaurants are having a hard time, it's like everyone has to eat. So when restaurants are struggling, it's not the greatest
Oh, yeah.
going on.
Yeah. It's just from what I'm understanding, and any, person I'm talking to that owns a business, everyone's like, it's been horrible. And other small ghost tour companies have said the same thing. And what doesn't help with the ghost tour companies is the fact that we have competitors that are nationwide, that's
Mhm.
nationals. And these people have the money to advertise, have the money to run 7 days a week and, do this and that. And we don't. And so they've kind of put the small little local ghost tours who took their time to research things, didn't use AI to make a script. They put their heart and souls into this, and they're being pushed aside and hidden because of that national chain. And there's
Yeah.
actually two national chains, from my understanding. But from what I understand, the one is a lot worse.
Mhm.
Um, it's just, it's sad to see. And I hope that, this gets better for all of us next year. Let's just pray. I've had the worst couple of years. I don't need another bad year. I'm
No,
like,
for
come
sure.
on, let's just have something go smoothly, and let's, have
Yeah.
things go well, for 1 year. Can we have that? Although I keep teasing that the minute something goes like perfectly, I'm going to think it's my last day alive because it's too
Yep.
perfect. I'm
You're
going to
just
be
like,
like,
wait a minute.
okay, I'm dying now because this was way too perfect.
It's like looking over your shoulder. You're like, okay, something's coming. Something's coming.
I'm like, something's happening because this was way too perfect. But it is what it is. I'm hoping, really, really hoping that next year gets so much better. And I'm it's got to. I mean, it can't get worse. I
Sure.
say that and watch it get worse, but I'm like I know I didn't even come close to making what I have with this company in the 12 years, going on 13 years that I've owned it. Next year will be 13 years. And this is honestly the worst year I have ever had with this company. And even things with like the team has slowed down. It's like we haven't been able to get in to as many places. We haven't really had those contacts. It's just like everything has come to a dead stop, it seems, in this world. Um, but luckily, we did get to go into a museum.
Yeah, definitely. And I know we kind of made a connection with somebody else. So hopefully
Yes.
another investigation coming our way so we can stay fresh on our skills and be able to have some fun over there. And
Yeah.
also we did get someone said Crossover Paranormal Society is saying hi. So
Hi.
hi.
Thanks for joining us. Yeah, it's just, I'm so happy. We had a lot of fun at the museum. Can't say for sure, what was going on. But we did have some odd noises, it seems, that we were like, what is that? I know
Yeah.
some of it towards the end was the wind. I did realize that. Because of the fact that it kept happening and happening, and it was the same sound. So I was like, okay,
Hmm.
that's the wind. But there's some of the sounds that I was like, okay, that's not the wind, and I don't know what that is.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, there's a couple of just strange things that happen. So it's just kind of like, huh. I hope our recorders picked up some other stuff. I haven't had a chance to listen to mine yet, but I'm hoping over the next couple of days I'm definitely I'll have some time to see if I got anything.
Yeah, I went ahead and I listened to mine because I wanted to get it done with everything going on. Um, and I swear I'm so happy because I always do that shave and a haircut knock, right?
Hmm.
And there's only been very few times that I've gotten those two knocks. Usually I do hear them in real time and then I like jump for joy and I'm like, oh my gosh, I
Yeah.
answered. But I'm pretty sure I got it in the recorder at least because I did that. And then there's two sounds afterwards. And I'm like, it sounds like knocks. So I'm like, did they answer? Did they answer? I'm
Ooh.
like all excited. Did they answer? So I'm really hoping. But I marked a lot of noises, which usually I don't mark a lot of noises. But because of the fact that we kept hearing a bunch of stuff, I want
Yeah.
to kind of compare each noise to see if we can debunk it in the recordings. Like,
Yeah.
okay, no, that did sound like that or whatever. So there is a bunch of sounds, which is, like I said, is kind of unusual because usually I tell you all, don't mark every, creak and this and that, just the things that really stand out. But we heard so much in real time though
Yeah.
that we were kind of like, what is that?
And we kept being like, ah, like turning
Yeah,
around and
and
being
we
like,
kept like going, okay, now it's over there, now it's over there.
yeah.
But a lot came from the break room in the center area, which is not where the museum part is.
I know.
So
I was just like, did they were like, okay, we're gonna avoid all the equipment on purpose. We're gonna
yes,
go. We're gonna go to the center section. Like,
the area that there was really nothing, except the gift shop and the break room. And it's like, oh, okay, you got all the historical stuff here and there, but you're okay.
I don't know, maybe they were a little shy with all of our stuff out there, like, "I don't know what that is. I'm walking
We're not touching
away."
it. We
Yeah,
explained to them it won't hurt
I
them,
know.
but yeah, who knows? Sometimes it takes them a while to warm up to you. So they're just like, people can be, so
Very true.
we'll see what happens. But I was glad to finally get out and do something different because that's the first place we've done different in a long
Mhm.
time. So very happy, hoping we made some more connections. Hopefully it all goes smooth. I do want to try to get back out there though when it's not raining and
Yeah.
windy.
See if we heard, like, those noises, kinda see
Yes,
how that goes,
exactly,
yeah.
because I'm thinking all that wind and all that rain did cause some contamination, so I'm like, I know some of it I'm saying that was the wind or rain, but I would definitely want to, see again when it's clear. Plus I want to do the outside section
Yeah, yeah, like, that'd
because
be
they have
cool.
that really cool outside section with all the old vehicles and they have like a couple little how I don't want to call it housing areas, but buildings. One is set up like a house, and the other one with a like a tool shed type thing. And I would like to see if that has anything. But with it downpouring, I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
we're not
Yeah,
going.
no. Absolutely not.
And there was like this huge puddle. We would have been swimming to the building.
Yeah, no, like May's GIF when we do swimming like the fish on fi
Well, we'll let everyone know what ended up happening with the car. So we wanted to walk around and meet people in the town and do things. And it started raining, so we were like, okay, let's go find food. So we got in the car and started driving around, and of course it's like pouring, and we realized all the food's on the street we were already on. So we go back, we go inside, we eat, and we waste a good hour or something there because we had time to
Mhm.
spare. And when we came back out to the car, basically by the curb was completely and totally flooded, like really bad flooded.
Like, couple inches, like,
Yeah, like
decent.
and it's not something you could step over. You would be stepping in and it would be past your ankle for sure, right? So I didn't want to step over it. I wasn't about to try to jump over it.
Oh, no. Absolutely not.
So what we do, we unlock my car and I'm like getting in the back seat, like stretching my leg out, getting in the back seat and crawling through the back seat to get out to get into the driver's seat.
That's how
And
all of us did,
everyone
we all
else
went inside, like, oh, reached over with our leg, we're just like, "Okay, we're gonna make it in."
and everyone's like scooting and all that stuff. It was hilarious. It's like we're all a little too old to do that now.
I
Aubrey's the
know.
only one that had no issues, and I think she
And
made
she was
fun of
like, "That
us.
was so much fun." And we're like, "Oh, geez."
We're like, shut up, you're young.
Exactly.
You don't have the old bones. Like the ankle cracking and investigate.
Oh, the knee or, like, the knees, it's like I, like,
Yeah.
stand up or, like, you squat down, you're like, "Okay, I heard that one. We're going down."
When I was walking around, my ankle, did that little crack, and I'm like, that was my ankle, and you were all like, we were wondering. You
And I was
all
like, "I
heard
heard that."
it. It was loud. That's what happens when you get old. What can we say, right?
Like, my joints have always done that, but I have weird my joints are not great to begin with, so, yeah.
Doesn't help. It does not help at all. But it was a lot of fun, and I enjoyed being back out and doing that. So,
No, yeah, me too, I really liked it. I really liked the, like, where we were. It was
hmm
definitely a lot easier drive for me than normal, so that was also nice. I got home first out of everybody. That was the
I
first in
know
a
you
very long
did.
time. Um,
I got
but
home
then
last.
yeah, but I think I really liked, it's like where we were at the
hmm
museum and stuff, being able to see all the stuff and able to talk with she's like a director there or whatever, and just be
hmm
able to kinda, like, talk with her about, like, some of the history stuff was also, like, really interesting and
Right, and we got to go. She showed us a few things in like the archives,
yeah,
which
and
was
that's I was
really
always like, "Ah, I love it." I was,
yeah,
like,
that was really
nerding out
cool.
over it.
Yeah, we're like, oh, this is so cool. It's from like the 1800s. I
Yeah.
I love old stuff. I just it holds energy. It may not be
Oh yeah.
haunted, but just, knowing, there's like, what was it? A wedding dress she was showing
Oh
us.
yeah, it's like 1880s wedding dress.
Yeah. And it's like, just to know that someone was wearing that on hopefully their happiest moment in life.
Yeah.
I'm like, hopefully back then you never know, but
Yeah.
it's like, it's just, it's so interesting, and I love museums. I am a huge museum person. I love going to
Me too.
them. I love seeing things in them. I love museums. And I think, part of that goes beyond the paranormal. I think part of it is because my grandpa, he raised me and he would take me to, like, the Toledo Art Museum.
Hmm.
So I was raised going to, places like that. Or in Michigan, there's the Greenfield Village. I think I got that right. And the
Hmm.
Henry Ford Museum.
Oh yeah.
And I would go there. And the one thing that I really loved was, I think it's called Greenfield Village. I haven't been there in so long, but that's like houses.
Hmm.
So they like moved like the old fashioned, like 1800s, whatever houses there, and like, rebuilt them and all that stuff. And you got to, tour them and stuff like that. And I love that stuff. But considering I also grew up in a house, from the 1880s, I think that also deals with it, because I got
Yeah.
used to seeing the old fashioned stuff. Like in my basement in the house, we have the old washer and tubs to where you
Hmm.
actually, put your clothes through the little wringer and stuff to wash them. We actually had that in my basement in my
Hmm.
house, and we had the old laundry chutes and stuff like that. So I was raised in an old house, and so it gave me that love for an old building, and just my grandpa taking me to those museums, I fell in love with museums. I love going to them, especially when it's like the old houses or things like that, when you get to tour stuff like that. I absolutely adore it.
I agree.
It's like one of my favorite things to do. It's like, I know a lot of people are like, "Eh, we're going to a museum." No, I love going. I'm like, "Yay, we're going to a museum."
Yeah, exactly how I feel. Like, since my boyfriend and I started dating, we've gone to a lot of museums, and we both were like, finally, someone to go to the museum with. So it's like, well, I'm fine doing stuff by myself. It's just like all the time is kind of like a drag, right? And like
Right.
my
Yeah.
family is not the most interested. My dad was, kind of interested in history stuff, depending on the certain topic. One of my grandpas too, but he's very specific. Like he likes World War II, and then that's pretty much it. Like it's like every grandpa in the world, World War II.
Yep. Yep. Pretty much.
Um, but yeah, so it's nice and like being able to go to like a lot of museums. It's always so fun. I've always been the same way. Ever since I was really young, I've loved history stuff. I love learning about like ancient like societies and history like that. And I mean, I hope
Yeah.
I forget,
Yeah, you mentioned the World War II, and I was like, "Yeah, I have my
but
grandpa's troop," but that is actually, I'm, like, looking at my wall going, "Where is it?" But I just remembered I have a memorial in my kitchen, so my grandpa's troop is with my memorial in my
okay,
kitchen.
yeah.
So I was like, "Oh, yeah, that's right, it's in there," so I can't show it. I have my grandparents' wedding picture in here, but, I
Oh,
don't have the
nice.
troop. Yeah. I set up a memorial after my mom passed because I have her ashes, and so we did this little memorial thing in the kitchen, and so I have my mom's ashes, I have stuff that I got from my grandpa, stuff that I got from my grandma, stuff that I got from my aunt because they were all people I was raised with, and it's all on that shelf, and so it's all, like, out there remembering all them, and I have a
Mhm.
bulletin board with a bunch of pictures of them, um, so that's where that is, but that's a really cool picture, though, because it's the whole troop he served with, and on the back, people had signed it. Not everyone, but, I would say probably maybe about 50% of the troop, signed it, so that's a really cool piece of history, and then I
Yeah,
know
for sure.
I have, a lot of stuff that I still need to go through. That was my mom's. I kinda gave up after a while. It kinda got depressing, to be honest with you, and
Yeah.
plus it was a lot, because my mom got my grandparents' stuff and my aunt's stuff. So, plus hers. So 4 adults, of memories, basically.
Hmm.
So I had, like, oh god, giant bins just of pictures.
Hmm.
Like, I think there's, like, 3 or 4 bins. and I was going through all of them, and a lot of repeats because, again, it was
Nope.
all
Yes, I
3 of
know.
them, so I'm like, "Oh, I got 10 of these."
Oh, yeah.
Um, but I was separating them and I was sending them to family because they had pictures that some of the family didn't have. So, like, I have, a cousin, unfortunately, who died in a motorcycle accident before his girlfriend had given birth, so he never got to meet his daughter.
Yeah.
So, I sent them a bunch of pictures of him from when he was younger. So I was like, "Hey, if you want, she can have these pictures of, Bobby Jr. so she can have pictures of her dad that she never met." So I sent them to them, and then I sent like my Aunt Peggy pictures of my Uncle Bob that she didn't have. So I'm like going through these bins and separating them and, sending them to the family, where I felt that they needed to go to. And like I said, it was like 4 bins. After 3 bins, I'm like, I'm so tired. Like it's
No,
so
I feel
tired.
you. Yeah, I had
And
to
it's
do the same thing with my when my grandma died, having to go through a bunch of stuff 'cause my grandpa moved, but he's disabled, so he went to like a small apartment kind of deal. It's a lot of work.
and it's emotionally draining too. It's like,
Mhm.
and it was just like right after I lost my mom, so it was very emotionally draining to top it off, and I was just like, I can't do this anymore. I just can't. So I still have a bin in my closet that I quickly went through. And I do know in that bin, there's like really old documents, like really old marriage certificates and stuff like that. So it is something that I do need to go through and probably preserve because it's really old. But I'm just like, there's a part of me that wants to, and a part of me that's like, I don't want to go there again. Especially around the holidays. Especially around the holidays. I'm like, no, I don't want to
Be
do
a
that.
good New Year's resolution for you, Becky. So,
Yeah,
here comes
exactly. Getting cleaned out
January.
finally. Yeah. That's my New Year's resolution to finally get that stuff done because it's been sitting there because she passed away a year ago in June. So it's going to be going on 2 years. But like I said, it was so much. And I had to clean out her apartment. And thank God for my husband, Will, because like I said, a lot of stuff. And not that my mom was a hoarder in any way, shape, or form, but she did like to buy ahead of time. So she had like a ton of things that she had set aside for like, Christmas gifts for a couple years down the road.
Oh, wow, okay.
And like she had like Christmas cards and birthday cards. And towards the end, she started getting really forgetful. So I think she would forget that she had these. So she would go out and buy cards again. And so like I discovered a bunch of birthday cards that I know she had bought for myself and for my daughters, and they were just sitting there, and one she even had in an envelope,
Aw.
but it was just like, just so much stuff, and it was just, like, very tiring, so I was like, "Okay, no more." But that will be my New Year's resolution to get that done, but it's just the fact that I know I have that historical stuff, and I do want it to be preserved because I love it. I
Yeah.
have stuff like this, like these old little ink bottles.
Yeah, it's cool.
And I love stuff like that. I love going to antique stores because of the fact that, you get stuff like that. Like I have all this in my room. So if anything's haunted, it's my room. Um, this is the brick from Pompeii that was given to me from
Ooh.
the case that, I did that they were seeing burnt children. And then they were like, oh yeah, by the way, we have a brick from Pompeii. That's probably why you're seeing burnt children. Oh, ignore the dust. But I found like this really old jewelry box one time
Oh,
at
I
an
like that, it's
antique
cool.
store. I'm like, this is just what I love to do. I love having the old stuff and I keep it and I put it in my room. And then, when weird things happen, I'm like, why is my house haunted now?
You're like, "Which one of you?" Looking at all
Which
of your
one
stuff.
did it? Well, this is, I went to, and this is so funny because I always go antique shopping about once a month. We go to an antique store. We just pick one and go. And whenever I go to Phoenix, there's one that I love going to. Um, but we went to one and we're walking around, and my children hate it. Aubrey and Bailey hate antique shopping. They hate it. At this one, they were like, "There's a bench, Mom. We're just gonna sit here." come get us when you're done, you know?
Oh, that's so funny.
But we're walking around and I see, and it's like under a shelf, a box, and I see like this doll peeking out, and I'm like attracted to her right away. I'm like, oh, she's cool. And then the tag says not haunted. And I'm like, okay, that's haunted. I don't know. But look at her. She's so cool. She needs a hairdo.
Oh,
I'm
look
like,
at
she
that.
definitely needs her hair redone.
Yes.
But she's so cool. And I have her sitting on my desk, okay? And she's actually kind of heavy. But I have her sitting on my desk. And Bailey, my youngest, hates dolls to begin with. And this one, she actually looks her eyes look very realistic. There's like
Mhm.
eyelashes and her mouth and everything. It just looks very realistic. I don't know if I can get a really good picture.
Oh, yeah,
It's
yeah,
it's just her hair. You know, I need to do something with her hair. It's like really bad. She needs conditioner or something.
yeah.
But I have her sitting on my desk, and you know, and I was already like, I looked at her and I already was like, okay, I want her. And then when it said not haunted, I'm like, okay, she's sold. Um,
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
I'm
You're
like,
like,
why
I
would I
especially
mark
want
it
it.
not haunted? You know, I'm like,
Yeah.
why? Why? It's the only thing in the shop marked not haunted. So why?
Mm.
But I got her and she's on my desk. And every night when Bailey comes in to tell us goodnight, she's all, put her away, mom. I'm like, no, she's fine on my desk. She's like, no, mom, put her away. I'm like, she's fine. I already have a shelf full of dolls in my closet. I don't have room for her. I always like to buy like those old fashioned dolls. I don't know what it is. I like
I
them.
like the dolls too, but I think everybody in my household would be like, absolutely not, if I came home with a doll. So,
Um, Aubrey has some of them in her closet,
mhm.
and I have some in mine. But yeah, Bailey's like, I don't want any of those. None. Because I'm like, you know, when I pass away, you can, you know, they're like, none, none. But I have one that I didn't buy from an antique store. It's actually my doll that I've had since I was a little girl.
Mhm.
And this doll I will never get rid of. She's falling apart. I love her to death, but I will never ever get rid of her. And if you want to take over for a second, I'll go get her. She's so freaking cool. She's like the coolest thing ever.
Oh, nice. Ah,
So this is Rose. And I've had her, and her neck's
aw,
look at this. Her neck has fallen
yeah,
apart, and she's had to be
yeah.
resewn. Her arms basically have fallen off and had to be resewn. I think her legs, I think one's taped, if I remember straight. Oh no, it got fixed. But yeah, it's like she's losing stuff.
Oh, yeah.
She is falling apart like major time. Her hair is all matted. Look at that.
Mhm. Oh my
She is,
goodness.
I've had her since I was probably about 2, I
Yeah.
think. I don't know. It's been a long, long time. And she was the doll that I took everywhere with me. So she
Oh,
got
okay.
worn out pretty fast. You know, she was my favorite toy. And it was so funny because of the fact that once she started, you know, looking like this, you know, and I had dragged her through everything and she was starting to look old, um, my mom would be like, oh, you can't take Rose into the store with you. She's napping.
I love
Because
that.
she would be embarrassed for me to carry this with me. And I swear, I took this doll everywhere up until I was probably like 8 or 10 years old.
Mhm.
So yeah, she's like my favorite, and I will not ever get rid of her. And my kids are like, Mom, she's had it. It's time to go.
Like, no, you can't. No, what is that? You've had it for that long. Like, my
I
mom has
know.
stuff like when she was younger too. Like, as a guy, like same with me. Like, there's stuff like put away that was like mine or whatever. It's like
Yeah. You know,
to your memorabilia, it's your memories.
yeah, that's my favorite childhood toy. You know, she was my favorite. You know, whenever I was upset, you know, she would be, you know, the toy I would cuddle with
Mhm.
and hold, you know, and but my kids are like, yeah, we're getting rid of that as soon as you pass away.
And you're
I'm
like, dang
like,
it!
you're not gonna keep my favorite. Nobody wants her. I'm like, come on, just because she's losing legs and stuff.
That's funny.
Hey, it is what it is, you know, but Like I said, I have this, passion for old things, and I don't want to get rid of them. Yeah.
No, same. I have a lot of like really old books that my grandma had, and like after moving so many times with them, I had to like keep down. So like it's always like a every time I have to like downsize the old books or whatever, and I'm
Mhm.
always like, oh no, I hate doing it. But I kept the really really old ones, like the ones from like 1905.
Oh,
I think there
wow.
was like one that was like late 1800, but like okay, some of them I was like okay. Like she had a lot of like from like the 50s, like 40s, 50s, 60s like kind of era, and I was like, hey, I
Mhm.
don't need to save them, even though they are starting to get a little old. But
Yeah. It's
yeah,
just it's history, it's living history. How can you not love stuff like that? I don't get how people are like, oh, it's old, let's get rid of it.
yeah,
Sure, there's some things that, yes, I understand it's old, get rid of it, but if it's something special to you, or something very historical, or
mhm.
very cool story. But if you think about it, everything would probably have a cool story
Yeah, that is really
for the
true.
most
That's
part.
true.
Not every single thing, but I'm sure,
Yeah,
a straw, yeah, get rid of the straw. But
yeah.
I'm like, but there are things that, like, I see so many times, these old antique things, and I'm like, I would love to have that, especially when it comes to the furniture. I love old
Hmm.
furniture.
Hmm.
It doesn't look comfortable, but I love the way it looks.
Yeah.
I'm like, it looks so pretty, the old Victorian stuff. And I'm like, I would love to have like this old Victorian house decorated in old Victorian, furniture. But I'm like,
Hmm.
it wouldn't last in my house. I have
Oh
four
no,
dogs.
all your animals. I was just like, absolutely not.
I have four dogs and three cats. So there's no way it would last in my house.
No, nope,
I'm like,
definitely
I can
not.
never have anything nice because, it would get broke. In fact, some of my antiques have gotten broke because of my animals. They'll run through the house and they're like knock into a bookcase and it falls over and
Mhm.
there it goes. I had an old fashioned Donald Duck and Daisy Duck salt and pepper shaker. And, for those who don't know, I'm a huge Disney person. So I collect a lot of Disney. But these were old fashioned salt and pepper shakers. And Donald had broken. And so I was like, well, I'm going to keep Daisy at least. But then Daisy got broke a couple months ago. And I'm like,
Ah, dang.
and it's like beyond repair. Like they
Yeah,
shatter, and I'm like, oh, this is why I can't have it nice things.
I know. It's like because with our cats have a tendency to put little attitude, and so when they get ignored, they like to just be like, okay, and whatever it is off the counter or off the table or wherever. My cat is the worst. When she was younger, so like we had these. I remember these things like growing up. We had the little like kind of like votives for Christmas, like a little like
Mhm.
teacup like votive thing, but they're like had Christmas lights on it, whatever. And then we were like decorating for Christmas, and then I was at school, so I was in Tucson. This was at I had her at my mom's house because it was like that time in between like Thanksgiving, Christmas when it was finals. I was gonna be back in like a week. I was like,
Um,
leave my cat here. My mom calls me and she's like, Luna keeps looking at me, and then she just goes and smack and knocks it off to break the stuff off the table. She
oh,
was getting annoyed with my mom for like not paying attention to her, so like she keeps looking over her and was like, eh, and
oh my
knocked them right
goodness.
off the table. So she broke like three of them. I was like,
Oh, wow. That's so
yeah,
sad. Yeah, I was like crying. I'm like, you broke my Donald and Daisy. I'm like, how dare you?
yeah,
Can't stay mad at them because they give you those little,
yeah,
cute little eyes,
exactly.
and they're like, "I love you." And you're
And
like,
yeah,
"Ugh."
yeah, for our ornaments too, because we have our Christmas tree up. We're gonna start decorating it and stuff very
Mm.
soon. All of our Brickle ones have to go on the top, even though the cats try to freaking climb the Christmas tree. But it's like, come on.
Ah, yeah, I know. I always worry about the tree with the animals. So far they've been okay, but I don't want to curse myself, by
Yeah,
saying
knock on
that.
some
And
wood.
then this year, all of a sudden, they all get into it and knock it over. But I think the worst part of it, because we always get live trees. So the
Yeah,
worst
okay.
part is the dogs and the cats like to get under there and drink the water.
Oh, yeah.
So we're always like, get out, you got your own water.
Yeah. We did live trees up until like we moved to this house. Um, but the cats and dogs, and we had dogs because we don't have dogs right now, would always get into like the needles from the
Hmm.
tree and eat it. And we're like, okay, maybe, with the plastic tree, the fake tree, they won't do it. They still eat the freaking needles. And then they're like chewing on it, and we're like, what are you doing? It is plastic. Stop it. We're always having to be like, hey, going and trying to get them to like stop chomping on the tree.
I know Zazu, my kitten, who it's coming up on a year that we've had him. He is obsessed with anything plastic. I swear, you put like a plastic wrapper down, anything,
Yep.
and he will get it and like take off with it. It's like his favorite thing ever is plastic, and I'm like, it's plastic.
Yeah, my cat Luna likes plastic, and one of our other cats, Axel, likes plastic, and you have like the little like, like when you reseal like snack or
Uh-huh.
whatever, the top
Yeah.
part it have like a bunch of holes because like the cat has chewed across the top of it, and you're just like, okay, the cat got into it.
Yep. That's Zazu. I'll find like a piece of plastic on the floor and you see all these little teeth marks, and I'm like, oh my
Hmm.
gosh, really? Seriously? It's plastic. You have so many better things, but I don't know. Animals are animals. You never can understand truly what they're
Very true.
thinking.
Very true.
But oh my gosh. Yeah, but as we were saying, the museum was cool. We finally got somewhere new. I know we got totally off subject, but that's why it's called Everything Under the Moon, because we like to get off subject. Um, but during our break though, I did get to guest star on some other podcast, because I was really trying to help promote, the company and team. And I was on like I think there's three other podcasts. Now, here's the thing about me. I am outspoken. I will admit that I am loud. In fact, we had that moment at the restaurant where I told May, I'm like, be thankful you do have a loud friend, because she needed silverware and no one else was getting the waitress's attention. Um, but at the same time, even though I'm outspoken and loud, I am very reserved, I guess is the word, when it comes to certain things. Like religion.
Hmm.
I don't like to really talk about religion. And I swear to God, e- every podcast I was on brought up religion. And I was
Interesting.
forced to talk about my religious choice. And I'm like, okay, this is hard. It was very hard. It not because I don't believe in God, not because, I'm not religious. I just don't have a religion I stick to, or that I go to. I was raised Catholic, but I don't practice Catholic now. In fact, I don't really believe in a weekly church type thing. And in fact, I tell my daughters, you choose when you get older, but be very careful because of the fact that there's a lot of cults out there. I'm
Oh
like, don't
yeah.
get caught up in one of those.
Hmm.
That's what scares me. There's so many cults, so many.
Hmm.
But I'm not religion as in, I go to church every week. I'm more spiritual. I do believe in God. I do believe, in good and evil. I'm not really sure on where I stick on, the devil and demons. I really don't. I'm not a firm believer in every haunting is a demon. In fact, I shoot that down so fast. But every single podcast I was on, I had to discuss my religious beliefs. And I'm like, it's hard to explain it. I'm like, why are you putting me in this position?
Yeah. It's also a very personal thing, right? So it's kind of like,
Yeah.
oh, I've never met you before. Here, tell me something really personal
Yeah.
about yourself.
Yeah. Here, explain to me what you believe in. And it's like, it's hard to explain. I'm like, I'm spiritual. I do believe in a God, but I don't believe in a religion. I guess that sums it up. And then I don't talk about politics. I'll talk about politics with people I trust and I know it's safe to talk about politics with, but otherwise I don't talk politics. Luckily they kind of avoid it, but they did like say little like side remarks that I'm just like, I'm not responding to it because I'm
Yeah.
not going to get into politics. And then the other thing is they got information wrong. And I'm like,
Okay.
I'm one of those people that it's like, I don't like to correct people live on air because I feel that
Yeah.
that would be embarrassing. And like, I wouldn't want to be embarrassed, but yeah, at the same time, I would want it correct. But it's kind of like one of those things to where it's a delicate situation. But my name was being mispronounced. They got like different things wrong when it came to the history, because they did like a history of Tucson and they got stuff wrong, and I'm just like,
Ah,
it's like, do I correct them? Do I not correct them? It's like, I don't want to embarrass them and I don't want to be rude. It's like one of those things. It's like so hard. Like, how do you handle that? I don't like to cause conflict, especially when it's, live on air or something. I don't want to again start, like embarrassing people and them getting, upset or, whatever.
yeah. And also they'll be like, never inviting Becky again.
Yeah,
Like, you
she's
know what
a
I mean? Like,
know-it-all or whatever,
yeah.
So it's like, it's one of those situations to where it's like, it makes me like not know what to do. And it's like, I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, so I try to steer the conversation other ways, or, it's just so difficult. But I think all three podcasts I was on, I had like those uncomfortable, like situations to where I'm like, okay, can we change the subject? Can we, I was like, wow. And, parts of them were like great, but I swear, all three of them at one point in time, it was like either they pronounced my name wrong, or, they brought up the religion thing, or they, you know, got the history wrong. And I'm just like, all right, next subject, because I don't know how to handle it,
Yeah.
because I don't want to be rude and I don't want to come off as a know it all, and I don't want to cause any type of conflict or embarrassment. So that's why when we have our show, it's more like I just want to sit back, have fun. I don't want to talk about anything serious. I don't want
Yeah.
to, and if I'm unsure on how to pronounce their name, I let them pronounce. I'm like, you can introduce yourself, because I don't want to mess it up.
Hmm.
And I'm horrible at name, pronunciation. I am horrible at it. I always mess up. I'm gonna mess up. I know I'm gonna. But it's like, I don't know. And there's nothing against any of the shows I was on. I had a good time on all of them. I loved being on all of them. It's just every single one had one area that I got uncomfortable with at one point in time. And I'm just like, I really don't want to talk about this. Can we move on?
Yeah, I
So
mean,
go ahead.
I was gonna say maybe like if you, I know you continue to do like those podcasts,
Yeah.
and like with our people. I mean, it's something you can just like talk about beforehand, or like send a message to be like, hey, I don't want to talk about religion or whatever, and
Yeah.
putting that boundary is probably the way. Or I don't know, you can try to be like, this is how you say pronounced
Yeah.
this,
This is how
like
you
like the
pronounce
phonetic
this.
spelling. I feel that my name is always mispronounced. So first and last name get messed up a lot. My name is Kyrra Kaler, and many, many times I get called Kyrra Caller. So, they get it both wrong on
I
me.
know when I first met you, I asked you specifically which way to
Yeah,
say it. Well,
yeah,
there's so many different ways that, people pronounce their names nowadays
that's
too.
true.
So it's like it's so iffy. So yeah, whenever I'm unsure, I either ask them beforehand, how do you say it? And then if I can't say it, then I'm like, you can introduce yourself,
Yeah,
because I don't want to butcher their name, because I know what it's like. No one mispronounces Becky or McKitty, but the Guidison. I
yeah,
have so many people mispronounce the Guidison part, and I'm used to it. And I just,
yeah.
I'm like, Guidison, whatever. Which, it really surprises me. When I met Will, we were joking around and I had gotten his license and saw his last name. And I'm like, oh, your last name is Guidison, huh? And he goes, yep. And I'm like, did I say that right? He goes, yep. And I'm like, oh, because I'm horrible at stuff like that. And
Yeah,
I actually pronounced it right on the first try. And I was like, woohoo, I did something right for once. But yeah,
yeah.
I'm horrible with last names, but I did get that one right. So I was happy about that.
And then it's meant to be, right?
I'm like, that was going to be my last name now. That's me now. That's, but no. Um, yeah, it was just interesting doing the other shows. And it kind of always makes you kind of reflect on what you do and go like, how can I make my show better? What can I do different? And, I definitely want to make sure that when we have guests on that I think that's one of the questions we're gonna basically ask them. Is there anything you want to avoid talking about?
Mhm.
Because I don't want anyone to feel uncomfortable, and I don't want to be rambling on like we do, and all of a sudden, bring up something that they're a little uncomfortable with. So I think that's going to be one of my questionnaires that, we ask people, is there any subject you would not want to talk about?
Yeah.
Because then, like I said, I loved being on the shows. Everyone had great personalities. Everyone were, great people. But just during those little sections here and there, I felt really uncomfortable, and I was just kind of like trying to figure out how to move on, and I've always been like that because in the past, I've had people have me on and they're like, oh, would you do this? And I'm like, and they're like pressuring me. And I'm like, if you do it, I guess. I don't,
Yeah.
I you're, it's like they put you on a spot and they make you answer things or, and it's kind of like, I don't want to do that to others when they come on this show. I'm like, I want it to be relaxed. I want it to be fun. I don't want anyone to feel pressured or uncomfortable. I want to be the fun host. I
Yeah.
talk about the paranormal and talk about everything else. That's just how I want it. And, I appreciate everyone who had me on their podcast. I appreciate any type of promotion we can have. I think just beforehand, I'm going to ask, can we please not talk about, politics, religion, or, what have you, because that just makes me feel a little uncomfortable. And check with me about the history first. Yeah.
Yeah, or
Let me
even send a little blurb in and be like, Tucson is like,
Yeah, that's because I'm like thinking I'll send it to my historian, make sure it's correct.
yeah,
But there are just some things that I knew, that weren't correct, and I was kind of like, how do I correct them without sounding rude? I honestly
yeah.
did not know how to handle that. I was like,
I wouldn't know. I think it's just one of those things you probably like let slide, unless
mm-hmm,
it's like so egregious, like something that's
yeah,
like so completely wrong that you kind of like have to like say
yeah.
something. But
It was mainly like names of like owners and stuff like, oh, such and
okay,
such owned this and they didn't. And I'm just kind of like, I'm just like smiling through it, like, okay, how do I correct this? I don't want to sound like a smart ass. I don't want to sound rude. I don't know. It's just one of those things that I don't like to be that way to people, even though I'm
hmm,
outspoken and I can be loud and things like that. I don't like to come off that way. I don't want to be like, no, this is it, or no, this is how you say this, or I don't like being that way.
hmm,
I'm more reserved when it comes to stuff like that, and I never take conflict to like social media or anything like that. My personal life, I basically leave off social media. Every once in a while you see that I'm down and I'm depressed and I'll vent and I'll be
hmm,
like, I'm about ready to give up, I'm frustrated, whatever. But beyond that, I don't put personal stuff out there. That's just not who I am. My personal stuff is personal. I will share family photos, I will share, hey, look what we did or whatever, but I don't do the actual personal stuff. That's not who I am. And I've learned that even if you do that, you're going to have enemies come up and, you're going to have people saying shit, which does not help the situation. So it's like, keep it off the internet, and
yeah,
I don't do that. And so I don't like the conflict. Even when I know something is bad, I don't name names. I just warn people about things.
hmm,
Like I did this a few years back. There was a paranormal team in Tucson that was charging a fortune to have them go out and investigate. And in fact, they would be like, oh, we don't even have to go to your house. Just send a video and then we can get rid of it. And they would charge like $1,000 or more.
that is insane.
And yeah,
Like,
I was like, I saw that and I was like, oh, this is so wrong. But I did not name names. I just warned people. I'm like, do not do this. This is nonsense. I'm not going to name names, but there is a group out there doing this. Don't fall for this, blah, blah, blah. And that's as far as I went. I never named names. Other
hmm,
people found out who they were through research, which, is easily done. But I personally didn't name names. And I've always been like that. I just don't do that. I want to stay out of the drama. That's the whole thing. I don't want the drama and I don't want to embarrass people. And I just don't. It's like I'll sit there and I'll be like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I just don't like that, and I don't wanna make others feel uncomfortable, and I feel if you're always, like, correcting people, then you'll make them feel uncomfortable, and I don't want that, you
Yeah.
know? So, anyone that wants to be a guest on our show, I promise we won't make you feel uncomfortable. If we can't pronounce your name, you can pronounce your own. And we'll avoid any subject that you wanna avoid, we promise.
Yes, for sure.
We will just have fun, and we will ask about history. So if you don't like history, then this show is not for you because Kira is definitely going to quiz you on the history part. She's going to want to know everything historical. Uh,
Mhm.
but yeah, we are looking for guests, and we definitely want to support other local tours, paranormal groups. We're open. Even if we don't investigate the same way, as long as you don't go in calling everything a demon, we're good. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one thing that I am against. I don't, believe in that. I don't believe in walking in and saying it's all demonic. I hate that. So as long as you don't do that, we're good. We have no problems with you. We have no issues with you. Come be a guest on the show. We would love to have you on. You can contact me. I'm on pretty much every social media out there. So go ahead and contact us. We'll set it up. Our show is every other Monday at 6 p.m. AZ time, which, by the way, that time difference messed me up so bad.
Really?
I mean, I used to change time all the time when I lived in Ohio. Being out in Arizona, I got so used to not changing times. And I have to sit there and always constantly think, okay, it's fall back, spring. It gets so confusing
Yep.
to me. And it's
Yep.
like
It's
right now, California and Nevada are on different times. Usually we're the same time. I'm
yeah.
like,
It's always so hard because, like, I'm involved with, like, another so I was part of a sorority, and so I'm on the national council for, like, as an alum member and stuff. So we have, we have biweekly meetings and things like that, but, like, with the time zone, like, I'm the only one whose time changes, even though we don't have daylight savings time. So I have to, like, always, like, around the daylight saving, okay, when is my meeting going to be? When are all my meeting changes? Because everyone else changes but me. But because everyone changes except for me, I end up changing. It's one of those. I hate
yeah,
it so much. I was like, more people need to get rid of it. Come on, let's
yeah.
get rid of it.
Well,
There's no
they
need
only
for it
started
anymore.
it. They started it for what it was like the war to like save some energy or something. I know there's like this whole story that they
Yeah,
started it for a reason. They don't need it anymore. They
no,
can just stop it. Just stop changing your time, people. You're getting us confused that don't change our times.
yeah, yeah.
I'm like, because when we were discussing that with Stan, our producer, I'm like, wait, what time? Wait, I got so confused. And
You
I'm
have to be like,
like,
what time zone are you in?
yeah.
Be very specific. Okay, you're in this time zone. Okay, we're in Arizona, which means we're on this
And
time.
and I know I'm not the only one because when I was talking to other people about it, they're like, okay, so it's this time, our time. And I'm like, no, I think now it's this time because of your. So I think it confuses everyone. Just stop it.
Yeah.
Stop the daylight savings.
Yes, that'll be our campaign. Stop daylight savings.
Yeah, I know. That's what we're gonna start right now is this freaking campaign because I got so confused with the time schedule for our show with the stupid change of times. And then it changes back in the spring, and I'm like, oh, it's gonna confuse people again.
Yeah, that's why I was just like, just say Arizona time. Just say we're gonna stay at this time, and then everyone can figure it out from there. They can look up what time is it in
In
Arizona and
Arizona.
can figure
That's what I
themselves
have to
out.
do. What time is it in the state?
No, I do it all the time too. I have to be like, okay, where? Yeah,
Yeah, because it's so confusing. And then there's so many different time zones, and it's just like,
and
because
fun and
usually we
fast.
can say Pacific, but during the winter we can't say
No,
Pacific because we're
we're not.
different time than Pacific.
Yeah,
So it's like,
it's like for technically, it's like mountain, but Arizona, it
yeah,
technically is our time. Um, but did you know? So the Navajo Nation does daylight savings time, so they're
yes,
at a different hour than us. But
yeah.
the
So there's
Hopi,
a section of Arizona that
yeah,
is
the
an hour.
big kicker is that so there's the Hopi Nation is in the middle of the Navajo Nation. They don't do daylight savings time. So I went up there because like my master's program, we had to do like 2 service learning courses for my master's, and so I spent a week up in the Navajo Nation. We went to like different schools, and you did like some like service learning, kind of like public health stuff, kind of like what I do now, honestly.
Uh-huh.
Um, but thank goodness we had the professor that was with us. She was Navajo, and so she knew how to do. Because I was like, otherwise we would not have gotten anywhere on time at all. Because we were just like, okay, it's like because we had to sing on the Hopi, so that was a time, and then something in Navajo. So I was like,
That
thank
would be
goodness you
so
were here. I
funny.
was like, we would have been so lost. We would have been late to everything.
Oh my god, yeah, that's just way too confusing. That's worse than the daylight savings. Having 2 time zones in one area. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I would not have survived that. I would have been like, "I give up. I give up."
I know we were just like, okay, just tell us when we're leaving. We'll
Yeah,
follow
pretty
you.
much. Well, our hour has flown by,
Yeah.
so I will let you go ahead and say what you need to say first.
Well, thanks for tuning in, everybody. I hope to see you next time and hopefully with a guest. Have a great Thanksgiving for everybody. And until next time, stay spooky.
All right, as Kara said, we will, be back in a couple of weeks. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Stay safe. I know sometimes it can be very stressful with all the family and all that stuff. Just keep smiling. Avoid that conflict. Avoid the uncomfortable. Just, change the subject, I guess. Walk away. I don't know, but enjoy it. Moments like that won't always last. Trust me. I used to always have big Thanksgivings, and now I don't get that anymore. So you do end up missing it when it's not there. So enjoy your Thanksgiving. Be safe. If you eat turkey, I know Kira doesn't eat meat, but if you eat turkey, gobble gobble till you drop, right? And remember, you can find us on all social media: Facebook, Instagram. We have this new thing going on to where we do different promotions every day, like support local, history, folklore, all this, advertising, everything. We do different stuff every day. So tune into our Facebook and Instagram. I also have TikTok that I will do paranormal stuff on, along with other things, and our YouTube. I was very active on our YouTube for a while and it stopped, but it'll have a few things added here soon again. So thank you everyone for tuning in. Thank you, Stan, for putting up with us. And we will see you in 2 weeks. And until then, remember, you are never truly alone. Good night, everyone.